and welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, a podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wide the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and for today's episode, I got a very crafty conversation with a sensational guest that I know you guys are going to absolutely love. Today's guest is R.D. Nicely, better known as Malopeach, an illustrator, designer, and craftsperson whose whimsical design, meaningful storytelling, and passion for bold projects can be seen throughout their many mediums. I came across R.D.'s stuff not too long ago, and I was just absolutely enamored with the projects and the crafts that they have dedicated themselves to. I mean, I know you're going to be seeing it throughout the episode, but sincerely, I cannot tell you how cool their art is, which actually makes sense because they're a really cool person to chat with, as you'll see in the conversation that is laid out before you. If you enjoy our guests, please make sure you support them with the links down in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know I see that stuff and you know it genuinely warms my heart. If you want to go a little further with that support, may I recommend you check out the merch shop at fourthwall.com. We have some outstanding designs as done by some amazing artists that you would look great in the streetwear that is presented in that shop for you today. So please go to that description and grab some of the incredible clothing that we have for you. And look, if all you want is a nice, cool, casual place where you could meet some of the other guests or other people within this community, really grow as an artist, showcase your work among other things, then may I recommend you check out our Discord server, the Artist Sanctuary. We have really grown throughout the year, and it's incredible to see just how many people have popped in and how many people are enthusiastic to share their kind of stuff. So if you want to be a part of that enthusiasm, I highly recommend you check out that Discord server today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, by the way. This is actually a really exciting chat I'm excited for us to have.
Oh, I'm really excited too. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I was I was so embarrassed at how long I had left that message sitting in Blue Sky. I'm so sorry. I am so bad at social media, and every time I have to make a new one, I'm just just my resistance to have to check notifications.
No, honestly, that is... look, I'm more or less like this. I'm in the same boat in some sort of sense. It's like whenever I decide I want to focus on a certain social media platform, I sometimes forget about the other platforms. So sometimes I'll get a message through there, or I'll get some sort of notification through there, and I don't realize till after the fact. Oh, this was such and such, or this is the XYZ or what? Oh my God, I should have said something. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I completely understand. I'm the same way. I actually, embarrassingly, last week, realized someone had reached out to commission me
Oh.
2 months ago.
Oh.
Oh, I felt so bad. I of course apologized, but they had found somebody else to do the piece for them, which it happens. But it was oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to ignore you for over 2 months. That was super my bad. But I don't go on Instagram anymore because it's a hell app.
No, honestly, I don't blame. The only reason why I keep some of the social media that I have is because some of my guests, that's their primary use. That's why I still have a Twitter, because otherwise, if it wasn't because some of my guests still use that predominantly, I would just be completely off of there, gone 100%. As the same with in Instagram, it's very hit or miss. Plus, they're really emphasizing some of the AI stuff, and I'm not really keen when it comes to that whole entire mess. So, yeah. Exactly. But I still have it because, especially with me trying to make sure I get my name out there, if I really want to get some of the people who also predominantly use that kind of stuff, kind of still need to be semi-active on that kind of stuff,
Yeah. You got to have a little bit of presence everywhere. That's why I still have like a Facebook. It's 2025 and I still have a Facebook and have
Right.
to check it every so often because like I do artist markets and
Yes.
one of the market groups I prefer to work with because they're super awesome and super queer inclusive. If I know that you're in Georgia but like pretty far from Atlanta, but Cryptid Creatives, they do markets every month.
Nice.
Um and they only operate through Facebook. So
I get you.
if I need help with something or I need to like reschedule something, anything, like I have to go contact them through Facebook. I can't reach them any other way.
That's fair. That's fair. Also, I will say I'm not that far from Atlanta. I'm in Athens, so I'm like 2 hours away. If I really wanted to make the hop skip over there.
1,000,000 years away.
Look, I was
Outside of the perimeter.
look, I was in Snellville yesterday hanging out with a buddy, all right? Like it's not that much of a trek for me to make the hop over to Atlanta, all right?
No, it's really, I know it's not that far. It's just I'm someone who like hates to take the highway. So
No,
like
I get
two
that.
hours on the 85 is like not bad. It's a straight shot, whatever. You end up in Athens. But like for me, who is taking mostly back roads to get there, that's like a 4 hour journey.
No, I look, I try to I'm also a person to where I try to avoid the highway as much as I can because as someone that lives in Atlanta, you know how hell it could be.
So it's so bad. I just got home from a trip to South Carolina, a cabin
Okay.
trip with my friends. Yeah, it was rad. And I
Nice.
had to take the highway. There's
Yep.
no other option. You got to get on the interstate if you are going betwixt states.
Exactly.
Um, oh my God, it's like people actively hate you, and it got bad the moment I entered Georgia again on the
Yep.
way home.
It why does it always seem like the moment that we need to like get somewhere like on the highway or whatnot, whatever divine being out there looks down and be like, let's have some fun.
What about 4 accidents on your route home? Why
Yeah,
can't we
exactly.
drive carefully?
Right? It's like I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it was so hard to look in a straight line and be aware of your surroundings sometimes, you know?
Literally, like in theory, the highway should be very easy. You're just going in a straight line. You don't have to like make turns, get in a lane, stay in it, and then just go.
But you also
What are people doing?
you also know that there are those idiots out there that want to race down that thing like they're in a NASCAR race, like just weaving through people or what.
Dodge Chargers, my
Yeah.
enemy.
You get it.
The
You
Dodge
get
Chargers.
it.
They take years off of my life, I swear.
Oh my god, what was it? So this wasn't around Atlanta. I was on my way. I was either in Florida or going to Florida because me and a group of buddies were going to Orlando for a convention all the way down there, and then also to do like the standard, Orlando stuff, Disney, and all that BS. Um,
Yeah.
and there was that one part of the highway to where the lane right next to me was open. I was behind a car, and I was like, okay, let me just simply go around. As soon as I start to turn into the other lane, this giant lifted truck just goes speeding right past me, going into that gap, sees that I'm like already like halfway across the lane or whatnot, and like just as I'm turning back, they turn off to go off the road for like a quick second, like on the little side part right there, just to get back on the highway. And yeah, if I'm so lucky that there wasn't an accident right there, but you better believe I was cussing like a sailor at that idiot.
Oh my God, yeah. That's one of those things where, like, after it happens, you're like stuck for a second, just like gripping the steering wheel because your whole life just flashed before your eyes.
Exactly. It's like I want to react, but I'm still in a moving vehicle. If I react a certain way, it could be worse. Just
Yeah.
goose fraba.
Oosa.
Goosa.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
Yeah.
But
I think the most common experience of living in Georgia or anywhere in Atlanta or the surrounding metro areas is just the fucking traffic.
yeah,
That's what it always comes back to. The fucking traffic.
it always goes back to the traffic, no matter what. But luckily
Truly, it's so bad.
we're at home. We're at a much better space. We're at peace, and we're here to talk about the incredible art that you're making, and we're here to have a good time, more or less.
Yes, channel driving rage into making art instead.
There you go. There you go. Your next piece needs to include like Hot Wheels or whatnot to emphasize that or something. Specifically, find a Hot Wheels Dodge Charger and like disassemble it as much as you can to get your rage out.
My vengeance.
There you go.
Interactive art piece. Hit this Hot Wheels Dodge Charger with a hammer.
There you go. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that as soon as they see that and they see it's interactive, they'll get all their rage out as much as they can.
Oh, actually, I'm writing that down. Mini rage room sounds like a fun idea.
Oh my god! Why has no one thought of that? Mini rage room.
That's going onto the list.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, if that pops up a few months later, I'll credit you for the idea.
I appreciate that. That's all I care about. All right, RD, before we really do get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a deserted island on your own accord. It's just you alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe, get to really enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations. I shouldn't say deserted island. I should more say, like, private paradise away from society for a little bit.
A B&B on a nice tropical destination.
Exactly. But to make sure you don't go fully stir crazy on this island, you could bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this island. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
I am so excited for this question because I knew it was coming and I thought about it like a lot. Like the moment I knew it was going to be on the podcast, I'm like, what am I going to say? My one piece of media would be One Piece.
Okay.
The incredibly, astoundingly long manga by Eiichiro Oda. I have loved One Piece for years now. I was introduced to it by my best friend while I was living in LA.
Okay.
And it is like, it's not like a perfect piece of media. Like it is riddled with flaws, and so is Oda as a human being of this earth. But I think it is a story worth telling and a story worth reading and investing in. I know that like the length of it is terrifying to most people. I, as a person who's been caught up for years, am of the mind that One Piece is not long enough. This story could go on for 10 more years, and I would keep reading it. To be clear, I do mean the manga specifically. I think the anime, especially like pre-time skip, is really fun, really great. Post-time skip, I have a lot more issue with the pacing and like design choice changes and all of that. But the manga specifically, I think is such a wonderful, powerful story about the power and strength of joy and community and love and caring about people. That's at the core of it. That Luffy has like cool rubber stretchy abilities and Zoro has his swords and Sanji kicks the shit out of things. But ultimately, the greatest strength of the Straw Hat crew is being kind, is loving people, and I think that is so wonderful, and I could read One Piece like 1,000 times over and probably never get bored of it. That's also a huge selling point. Is it's so long. However long I'm on this island, I will be entertained.
I mean, like I said, this is like a little personal B&B paradise, like for you. So it's like you can be on there as long as you want. You can get through the entire series at least once, even with the new ones coming out like on a weekly basis if you want to, or however long it takes for them to get new ones. And you can still be on that island as long as you want. That being said, like, look, I get it. Like, I wanted to say, I've had a handful of people also mention One Piece as being the thing that they want to bring on this island. But I think that's quite possibly like the most poetic way anyone has ever described like how much One Piece means to them and how much they enjoy it. Like genuinely, like don't get me wrong, like I knew like just by the length of it alone would definitely keep you occupied and like really enjoy your time in this little paradise away from all the chaos that's going on in the world. But like there's a reason why that series has endured as long as it has, and like why the characters have been so endearing for so many people, because if it wasn't such a good story, if it didn't mean something to a lot of people, they would have ended that series probably a lot sooner. They would have found a way to find that treasure like ages ago and just end
would have been located.
Exactly.
Would have been back.
So like the fact that like it means so much, especially to you, and the fact that it has been told and retold in so many different ways, whether like says the animation or the new live action one that people have been absolutely loving and such. Like, yeah, no, I get it. I get why it has that special place in your heart more than anything else. So
Yes, yeah. Definitely that. Like it is a series that is so like deeply personal to me. Like it's special also like because of like my connection to my best friend and like this thing that we've bonded over for years.
oh,
But it's just I love the themes and like just the importance of like I am so corny. I love the power of friendship.
there
I
you
am
go.
like a cynical person in my day-to-day life and like incredibly goth. And you would never guess that by the work that I produce or by the media that I consume that my closet is 90% black and I spend most of my time at like goth raves on the weekend.
Honestly, like considering a handful of pieces I've seen here and there, I could see the connection. I could see where that connection could be made. But honestly, like
Sometimes.
if I was just going based on the fact that you just picked one piece, I would have been like, wait, you're the goth person?
Shockingly.
I know, shockingly. But regardless, One Piece, the manga, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
Locked in.
Th-
Absolutely.
then, if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You look fantastic in the merch we have at the merch shop, fourthwall.com. Link to that is in the description below. And follow us on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and most social media platforms at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. They are an illustrator, designer, and craftsperson whose whimsical designs, meaningful storytelling, and passion for bold projects can be seen throughout many mediums. Welcome to the podcast, R.D. Nicely, aka Malopeach Art!
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderfully. Incredibly busy this month, but it's nice to like I've had this day entirely blocked off for this.
Oh,
So.
good. I'm so happy to hear that, especially now that we're actually getting the chance to sit here and chat. I meant to say this in like the intro or whatnot, but I initially found your stuff because honestly, whenever I did reach out to you, Pride Month was coming up, and specifically, I had an episode that was dropping on Juneteenth, so I wanted to find specifically a Black queer artist to put on that day. I did find someone, Dante Majors, an incredible voice actor. I'm so glad I was able to get him on the podcast. But still, seeing your stuff and seeing like how creative and how unique your stuff was, like I knew I needed to have you on here at some point in one form or fashion, and I'm glad we're getting the opportunity to do this because this is like I said, it's really exciting for me, especially seeing what you've been able to craft on so many different mediums. It's really impressive what you've been able to do, and I cannot wait to delve into all that and then some. But before we talk about the stuff you're doing nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of RD. What got you interested in the arts in general in the first place?
Yeah. Oh man. Way back. As a small child, like I think like 4 or 5, 6.
Okay.
I like there are a lot of people who just draw casually as a hobby in my family.
Okay.
My mom drew a lot. My uncles both like loved art and they were teenagers at the time and like were like super invested in like art and comics and anime and like all of that. I just had like a lot of artists in the family and it was just always just this cool hobby that everyone else did that like I as a little child was like I want to do that also. I remember my uncle Donnie would like occasionally like let me take a look at a drawing he'd done and I would like try and copy it or like my uncle Davis would like let me flip through his art books and like his sketchbook and I was just like so enamored with this idea that like you could take the cool thing you see in your head
Mm-hmm.
and you can put it on paper. That's crazy.
Right.
What a wild concept that you can have like this whole internal universe and then like find a way to channel that in a physical medium. Um and I just like it at first was just like a fun thing to do and like just really cool to like copy them or copy from like art books or comics that they were reading or anime and manga. And like I was I was such a little like baby duckling following them around, picking up art crumbs. And
Oh,
like I thought they were so cool. I thought they were so cool. They're they're probably gonna listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh, you were cool." Fuck off. First of all, if you're listening to this, fuck off.
well, I mean, like,
But I did really think they were cool as shit.
I wanted like it's first off, it's cool to know that like right off the bat that like there were people, especially early on, that like had that same like at least love and appreciation for art in one form or fashion. Like, do you know if they themselves had like tried being artists at first before kind of selling that, or was it like just it had always been a hobby for them?
I think it had been always, at least as far as I knew, I think it had always been a hobby, but it was a hobby that they were really passionate about
Right.
and like really enjoyed, and like they drew comics together.
Okay.
But I think that like they both like one of them like went into the military, the other one went into like the National Guard, and like
Okay.
they both like it had never been like the career plan, but it was something that they like really enjoyed and cared about and had a lot of passion for. And then like vicariously I cultivated passion for that. And it like it didn't even occur to me that like art could be a job until like way
Right.
later. But yeah, I like it wasn't until I was in like high school that I was like, I'm gonna take this seriously. I want to do art as a career.
Okay.
But like up until that point it had been like a hobby, a thing to do. And then like when I hit like middle school and like that awkward middle school phase, like I was super emo and a huge weeb,
Yep.
and it was my venting and it was my way of like articulating those feelings that like you don't necessarily have words for when you're 13.
Hmm.
um and it like my God forbid anyone ever see my art from that age. If you find my old DeviantArt account, no you fucking didn't.
Oh.
um,
Oh.
but it's bad. But
Link will not be
I
in the description below.
no. It's probably hunt downable, but please don't look for it. But when I hit high school, I really hit my stride and like started to like cultivate a sense of style and like started exploring like other mediums within art beyond just drawing. I tried my hand at like sculpting. I tried my hand at fiber arts. I got really into sewing and embroidery and knitting. Um, and I just realized like, oh, there's all these different avenues that you can explore. There's like 100 different things you can do and still be an artist. And like it just like snowballed into this like, I don't just want to do this, I need to do this.
Right.
Like it was just like this passion and this desire to just constantly create. And I like had a ton of artists that I was like looking up to at that point, like a bunch of like professional artists who I was like so amazed by. Like I was super into like Louis von Barl, and like Jeremy Seresi, like in my like senior year of high school was like a huge inspiration for like my like portfolio for
Okay.
college.
Okay.
Um, and I just like felt so passionate about it, but also like there were a lot of adults in my life who were like, "Hey, artists don't make money."
Yep.
um,
Yep.
Tragically, not wrong. Uh-oh. It's a competitive field.
It
It's
is.
hard. It's hard to get into. And I felt a little bit paralyzed, caught between like my desire to do this, my need to create art, my strong urge to like utilize my creativity and create things that made other people happy and excited, and also the like very scary reality of like I'm graduating soon, I'm going to be an adult, and they expect you to like decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life now. um I couldn't apply to art school. I was so scared. I had no idea what to do with myself. And my girlfriend at the time took my portfolio and like all of the photos I'd compiled of it and applied to art school for me.
Oh. I mean, you know what? Like, at least they felt confident in your stuff to be like, look, if you're not going to do this, I'm doing this for you, all right? Like, because you deserve to
Yeah.
be there.
I did definitely appreciate that. Our relationship was kind of a clusterfuck for a variety of reasons, but
Obviously.
that was something that like to this day I am still grateful to that person for, like regardless of how the rest of our relationship shook out,
Right.
and also regardless of like how art school went for me. It's like I felt so scared to like take that step, and I just desperately needed someone who was like in my corner,
Yeah.
who was like, you can do this. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, you might be broke for a while, but like you can do this. And like I think a lot of times people just like need that push, that like unwavering support from just one person.
Yeah. They
And like,
they need that extra boost, that little extra platform for them because like sometimes because like you said, especially at that point, like you know. You're about to, you're about to take that first step into the real world, not just the high school mentality of like, hey, we're teenagers, we can do whatever we want or whatnot. You got people on one side being like, hey, you realize that this field is not gonna really be successful for you, and you have your own mentality on the other corner being like, well, I love this, like I'm scared to take that next step forward. You just need that one extra person, that one small voice, just be there, be
I'm gonna
like,
push.
you got this, like just point blank,
You've got this.
you got this.
You got this.
I
Yeah.
am.
And I'm
Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, I'm just. I was gonna say like I'm just grateful now that like I have a lot of that
Yeah,
in
exactly.
my like day-to-day life as like a professional working artist now. Thank God. But like I have a lot of people who are now that like extra push and motivation when I'm feeling scared about something.
There you go. There, as it should be, especially now that you're really like that. Now that you've truly made this your career, I did want to at least like dial it back just a quick second because you had mentioned that like obviously starting out it was like a fun little appreciation and love or whatnot, and you said around high school that's when you more or less like decided to take it seriously. Like when did it for you? When did that switch happen? When did it go from this like love of like your parents, and your uncles and such like their art and just loving to do the art in general to a passion and wanting to make it your career?
That actually, I can pinpoint exactly
Ooh,
the moment a switch happened. I was on a trip with my grandmother to Maryland,
okay.
a place that I have not been back since because that vacation was bad. But
Okay, fair enough, fair
let me
enough.
go, that vacation sucked. But we were out getting pizza at this restaurant, and I was like sketching in my sketchbook while we were waiting, and Grandma was like chatting up the guy, and he saw that I was drawing, and he came over and he looked at what I was drawing. Oh my God, you do such good art, blah blah blah. In the way that like people get excited when they see a kid drawing and they're like, hype you up, and it's
Right.
great. But he asked me, could you draw someone for me? And the dreaded question, can you draw me? As an artist, every drawing artist I know has been asked that at least a dozen times.
Right, right.
I had already been asked it many times at that point, but I was like, yeah, sure. We're not doing anything. We're waiting on the pizza. Sure, I can draw whoever you want. Just like give me a picture or something. And so he pulled a picture up off of the bulletin board in his shop and handed it to me. And his uh, this young lady who was, I think, like appeared to be a teenager. And so I'm sitting there, I'm drawing, whatever. I get through it, and I get through the sketch, and it comes out like okay. And I wasn't like super confident in it because it was like I felt rushed, and like I've
Right.
never seen this person. I'm drawing from like a kind of grainy picture, and like also this isn't like what I had wanted to be drawing. I was now doing a free commission essentially, but I gave it to him. I'm like, here you go, all done. And he was so excited. He was thrilled. He was just like over the moon about this little sketch that I spent like less than 10 minutes on. And he put it back up on the bulletin board along with the photo. And he's like, that's my daughter. I can't wait for her to see it. She's coming home from college in a couple of weeks. I can't wait for her to see this.
Oh.
And that did something for me.
Okay.
That like little moment of connection. And like I've never, like I said, I've never been back to Maryland since. I don't know this guy, I don't know his daughter. I'm unlikely to ever meet her, but like I made a little doodle that made him so happy, that probably made her happy to see. Just this moment of human connection with a complete stranger was the highlight of the trip. It is the thing that I remember the most from that trip. And I remember realizing in that moment that like, yeah, art can be just like a casual thing that you do. It can also be wildly important.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, especially like just that small little moment of someone just being like, "Hey, can you draw this for me or whatnot?" made that person's day. Like, it completely changed. Like, it changed their day. Also changed your day as well because you saw like the
Yeah.
impact that art, no matter how simple or how complex, the impact that it could have on people and how much it really like brightens up their day more than anything else. I'm asking this out of curiosity. Do you remember the pizza place? Like, do you remember where, like, what the place was called or whatnot?
Oh goodness, I have no idea. We were so
Damn.
lost, and we settled for pizza because we couldn't find our way back to the
Damn. Damn.
I probably could find it if I dug and send it to you, but
I'm 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 curious because in January I'm planning on a trip with a bunch of my buddies to go up to Baltimore, so around Maryland. So I wanted to
wow.
I wanted to do like a little like indie search and just be like, hey, I want to see if I can find this place. I wonder if he still has the drawing and like the photo up or whatnot. Like first off, hopefully the pizza place is still open because it's a pizza place. It's really
Yes,
hard.
finger crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But if it is, I want to see if like if if the guy's still running it and if like the picture with his daughter and then your drawing is still there because I think that'd be like really cool to think like after all these years, especially if that drawing is still up, that would be like a really cool like cherry on the top of this already like super sweet story.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay, no, I will definitely look for it. Like, I will have to do some like Googling and hunting, and hopefully that business is still open because this was a number of years ago at that
Right.
point. Not to age myself, but I'm 28 now, and I was like, I think 14 at the time.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Um, but hopefully it's still there. And if I can find it, I will definitely let you know because it would blow my mind if he still had that drawing, a single doodle that I think genuinely changed the course of my life.
Exactly. I mean, here you are right now, especially like you said, like you really went down that path. Yes, you had to have that little push to get you to the art school or whatnot, but like I bet you can correct me if I'm wrong. Once you actually got to art school and start experimenting more with the stuff that you had tinkered with in high school or whatnot, like was there ever a moment, at least in art school, where it kind of clicked? You like, yeah, this is where I belong. I belong in this field. This is where I need to be.
So yes and no. On the one hand, absolutely. I developed, I refined my skills so much more. Not necessarily because of the school itself, but
Right.
because of this like this push, this drive to keep improving because of your peers.
Yeah.
You look at the person's sketchbook next to you and you're like, fuck, I need to work on my anatomy.
The eternal artist struggle, comparing yourself to someone else.
We used to just hurt our own feelings all the time by having like a sit down session of pass our sketchbooks around. And like it was a very loving environment. Like I
Right.
went to FIT, and the way that classes operate there, especially if you're not in the fashion circuit, is they put you in like a cohort, a
Okay.
group, and you all take the same classes together. So you become very tight knit very fast. And you become very invested in each other's progress. And so it's this like push and pull of like I'm like you're like pushing each other to like improve and like pulling each other along. But also you feel motivated just because like you see your other peers are also working really hard and you want to stay on the same level as them. You want to all keep improving together, and like you
Right.
feel really excited whenever any of you makes progress. And I think that that's a wonderful environment. I had issues with some of the professors, but like such is the nature of tenure.
I would say that I would say
um,
such is the nature of just I think any college experience whatsoever. Because I can tell you right now, in my own personal college experience, yeah, I had a couple professors that like for the most part, my experience was very positive. Like I had a really good time, like at the university that I went to. I went to VSU all the way down in South Georgia, Valdosta State for context. So if you know where that is, it's about 20 miles from the Florida border. So that's
I've heard it quite down there.
yes, quite down there. But like I had, for the most part, I had a really good experience. But there was also a couple professors that I just didn't gel with. Like it wasn't like I'll say like it wasn't their fault. It's like they're doing their job. They're doing what they studied and they paid for, whatnot. I just didn't mesh with them. That's just the human experience at the end of the day. So I get what it's like when it's like yeah, there were some professors there that you just didn't gel with. That you just didn't mesh with.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There, it's hilariously, so I'm colorblind.
Oh,
Just like slightly, and it is my dad's fault as colorblindness works genetically.
right.
But I didn't know it until I took color theory class, and I
Oh.
failed a lot of projects in that class, and my professor did not believe me that I had discovered I was colorblind in her class because it wasn't on my medical records, and like she was like, you need to provide a doctor's note to prove that. If you want like grace on these projects, you need to get a doctor's note. And I'm like, I'm a poor college student and I eat exclusively rice and beans. You think
Right.
I can afford a fucking doctor's note? Are you smoking crack? Are you smoking crack?
If you're smoking it, can I sell it to you? Because I can find a way to get it so I can get the doctor's thing that I need.
For some funds for a doctor's note. I just was like, fuck, I'll take the L, I guess.
Also, I just want to say, note, this podcast does not encourage you smoking crack. Anyway.
Crack. Don't smoke crack, kids. Crack is whack.
Crack is whack.
But yeah, but I also had like two of the most phenomenal professors I ever experienced in my college career. My anatomy professor, who was like super professional, super on point, ferocious with critique, but like he would point out a detail to you that you had gotten wrong and exactly how and why you got it wrong,
Okay.
like down to like what was your thinking process while you did it, and then tell you exactly how you can correct it. Like
Okay.
the amount of improvement I made in his class was incredible. He really, really pushed you. It was hard pressure, but like the growth was incredible. It was totally worth it to take his class. And then like my like concepts of illustration teacher, who was such a sweetheart. She was so amazing. She found out, so her class was the earliest class, and she found out that like because the class was so early, none of us were eating breakfast before we
Oh.
came to her class. So she started bringing us all bagels every morning
Oh.
that her class was so that we wouldn't go hungry, because she's like, I can't expect you guys to do good work on an empty stomach. She was like a preschool teacher. She was so sweet.
Oh, that, I mean, it's good to know that it's good. It's always good when teachers care that much. I mean, I had teachers like that as well. Like they genuinely cared about you as a person, not just, you, the letter grade on their, their thing or whatnot. Because there are, so you can attest to this probably. There are some professors that's like, all right, you're here. You either make it or break it. Like, here's the thing, XYZ.
Show up or don't, it's whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like straight up. So it's always nice when you have that one professor too that just goes that little extra and just shows that, like, look, you're a human being at the end of the day. Like, if it's just simply like getting you donuts or getting you bagels or whatnot, like, here you go. Like, as long as it helps you like feel better, feel more comfortable, and like do better, have a better performance in this experience.
Yes, she was so great. She was
Aw.
fantastic. But yeah, those two professors and like my like fellow students were like really the highlight of my like time there at FIT. Unfortunately, I did not graduate. I didn't finish school, both for like financial reasons, but also the pressures of attending art school in Manhattan were
Yeah.
overwhelming. I was undiagnosed with autism at the time, and whoops, turns out that's a really overstimulating environment for someone who like has a lot of sensory issues. I
You
was
don't
living
say.
in a building, like literally down the block from Times Square.
Oh,
It was so loud.
they call it the city that never sleeps for a reason, okay?
It doesn't, and I already have insomnia and like a bunch of other issues. It was untenable. I could not continue living there, and so I had to tap out, and that was like a huge blow to my confidence as an artist. One, because now I didn't have like outside pressure to like continue doing art every single day.
Right.
But two, it's like not finishing school. Yes, it's just a piece of paper. Yes, you don't need a degree to be an artist, but like it still felt like giving up on something that like I had fought so hard for. Um, and like I pivoted to biology, and especially because like I had and still do. I don't want to do it as a career, but I still find it fascinating. But like I had a big passion for neuroscience, and so that
Okay.
became like my focus. And like I started doing a lot of like anatomical illustration and like brains
Mm,
and neurons and body parts and all of that stuff. And like I kept up with drawing as a hobby, but like I had sort of like for a long time just like given up on art as a dream and like was sort of floating ambiently through the neuroscience program, just like I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Everybody else is taking internships at labs, and I'm like, I can't really commit to this because I don't know if I can do this for work.
right, right. No, trust me. Look. You're talking to someone else that also like went to school for very. I went to school for mass media, so like TV, film, all that jazz. And I didn't get my degree either. Like it was just like, especially even though I was at this like small university in South Georgia or whatnot, it was at a point to where like my own mental was like getting to me like really badly. Like it got to the point to where like I'd be super excited when like the year starts, like, okay, let's get this, we're gonna go in here, we're gonna do this kind of stuff. And then like procrastination would like hit really quickly to the point to where like I just had overwhelming like amount of work that I just didn't do, and then I would just shut down to the point where I failed like
Motivation.
yeah, it just tanks immediately, and I failed like all my classes for like 3 straight semesters. Like it was bad. And so like
I feel you.
so I had to like dip out of that situation, and then I got like an IRL job. I work in a warehouse right now, thinking that like let me take like a year, yeah, year or so, like get away from that situation and just focus on myself for a little bit. And then unfortunately, whenever I dipped, it was right before COVID hit, and so
The timing, the timing is evil.
it's like if I had stayed for like that one semester, all right, like one more, because I have like 15 hours of classes left before I get my degree or whatnot, which is not a whole lot. So like if I had just stayed for that little bit, all my classes would have been online, and they would have probably been a lot more lenient because hey, there's a pandemic going on. uh
Yeah.
but now I just
Hey.
now I'm just still working on that. But like I imagine for you, like, or kind of like how you were illustrating that, like you dipped away from it after you were just like it became too much for you. You focus on this different field for a little bit, and then I imagine, especially considering the fact that we're talking right now on an art podcast, you found a way to get back into that art field, kind of like how I got back to the media field by starting this podcast and doing this kind of stuff. So I'm curious because, like you had said, like you were at that point to where you're meant to like, yeah, I like you're in the biology field, but it's like I don't know if I want to fully commit to this. What made you fully get back into art and like make that your thing?
Oh goodness, it was such a clusterfuck of a time in my life. A lot of like I at the time it felt like I was just like aimlessly falling into things.
Right.
But looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, there was a domino effect of like one thing after the other. Um, so me and my now wife, at the time, my girlfriend, moved to LA very spontaneously with no plan,
Okay.
no like idea what we were doing, nothing. But we were both like sort of at the end of our rope. I had reached the point where like if I wanted to continue in biology, I had to get into the graduate program and I had to take on internships. And I was like, those are both really difficult things to commit to for someone who is not committed to this.
Right.
And they were like overwhelmed with like their home situation and their work situation and were like, I need to get out of here. I want to be an actress and a model and I want
Oh.
to be in LA and like let's do it. And so uh, I think we could only do it because it was the two of us and we had each other to like rely on in this very tumultuous time.
Yeah.
And like dropped everything, went out to LA, and I eventually like got a job at like this little like luxury candy boutique, which is such a ridiculous
Ooh.
job to have.
Oh, we
It was
fancy, huh?
my sugar intake went insane. My diet was 50% candy by volume, and I met a lot of celebrities because that's the candy that they buy, apparently.
I mean, hey,
For
you know
anyone
what?
wondering, sugar fina.
Sugar Fina, interesting. I mean, hey, you know what? Like sometimes, you get those weird pit stops along the way, and you like have that. That's a fun story to have in your back pocket, you know?
Yeah, that time that I was like a supervisor at a luxury candy boutique and like ate a lot of candy and met a lot of famous people. But I my coworker there was also an artist, and we like bonded over like the struggles of art school and all of that stuff, and like how we were both sort of just doing it as a hobby at that point. But it was the fact that I once again had another artist, and specifically another like illustrator, to like talk with and draw with. We started drawing together. We were reading manga together, like, because it was a very quiet store, and there was don't tell my well, I guess it doesn't matter now because I don't fucking work there.
Yeah.
But blacked off a lot. There was not a lot to do most of the day. You would usually like make your sales goal in like a single $2,000 candy purchase.
Yeah,
Um,
for some reason, luxury candy boutique store doesn't exactly scream constant customers. Like,
Not very busy.
yeah, not very many. Like, I imagine, like you said, like you're gonna get a good group of customers. They're gonna pay a lot for what they're gonna get, but it's not gonna be like you're gonna be packed in there like it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, like the beginning scene when all the kids are at the Candyman store.
Yeah, pretty much dead 90% of the time. But we're because we had so much downtime, and because we both had like shared interests in like anime and manga and comics and movies and stuff, we started watching things together and then drawing fan art of those things together,
Okay.
like back and forth to trade with each other, drawing each other's like characters, drawing each other. And that like I had for so long, like I was just sort of like the most drawing I had been doing in like the 2 or 3 years prior to that since leaving art school was just like ambiently in notebooks, drawing out illustrations for my notes, like stuff on like napkins and receipts here and there, but like nothing with like passion or drive or like anything that like I felt really strongly about.
Hmm.
But this was like getting back in touch with the enjoyment that I felt in drawing as like a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was just the motivation of like having somebody else there. Abby, if you're listening to this, I'm only an artist now because of how much I love you.
Oh.
And it felt great to do art with someone. It felt great to make art, and I rediscovered my joy for it, and it was like, do I really need to go to art school to do this? Oh, and I like took a few commissions, and I was like, oh, that went well, and here and there, and um like started taking art more seriously again, and like felt really motivated to like draw every day. Like that had been my goal, was like just draw something every day, just like create a little bit of art every day. And I did for a long while. I was making art every single day. Um and then for a variety of reasons, we had to move away from LA.
Okay.
Sav had got a great job offer from the company she was working with, to move to Atlanta, which was huge and scary, but also LA was like really expensive. My location was closing down, and they were
Mm.
like offering me a manager position at a much busier, less fun location. And I was like, I don't know if I want that.
Right, right.
That's a lot of pressure, and Abby won't be there. And I we just sort of took the leap of faith. We're like, okay, we did cross country once, we'll fucking do it again.
Yep.
And dropped everything and moved to Atlanta. And I stumbled into like such a huge art scene here. Like in LA, I was like taking commissions online occasionally and like drawing art for fun, but it is very hard to break into the professional art scene there. You
Right.
need a degree to do it there. You need connections. You need an in into the professional art scene in LA. They don't do like art markets like they do here. They don't do like little artist events and pop-ups. I mean, like they do, but like only if you're like friends with rich people,
Right.
of which I was not.
I
Not
mean,
at all.
I mean, you could have been friendly with some of the celebrities that were buying $2,000 worth of chocolate or whatnot.
My customer service voice only gets me so far.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But there wasn't this kind of art scene. I touched down in Atlanta and had a dozen art friends like within a couple months of being here.
Nice.
And that it went from like, oh, this is like a little flame I am tending, to like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I was like within a year of living here, I got featured in an art show for the first time in
Yeah.
my career. For the first time ever. It was an Afro Latino art show hosted by a friend who was like, "I love your work. You're rad. You're Afro Latino. Make something. It'll be a featured piece. We're gonna have you there for the market, for the gallery, all of it. Cool." I was so nervous. I was like scrambling to like get prints and stickers done. I had like no idea what I was doing. I did like a mock-up table in my living room because I was like,
Oh,
I don't know how I'm gonna set up my thing. I was like practicing like how I'm gonna talk to people about my art because I had never done anything like that.
right.
Um like sitting there at that gallery show, at that market, all of it like struck me that like, oh wow, this is my job. I'm doing it, and it's my job.
You're doing what you've always wanted to do. I made it.
It's
Like,
like I had like taken like little commissions and stuff and like done small work here and there and
right,
like all of
right.
that. This was like the first like this is work. And oh my
Yes.
god, it was work.
Well, I mean, like, to be fair, I think people like underestimate just how powerful of a scene that Atlanta does have when it comes to like art and such. Like, even take out the fact that we have one of the biggest art museums with the High Museum of Art, which is a fantastic place. I've been there several times. I love that place.
Amazing. I was just
Uh,
there like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. I was there. I was there multiple times last year with some buddies because we had like a huge group going to MomoCon, which I will talk about that in a second as well. But like we went to MomoCon and like before and after, I decided to get like a year-long membership for the museum or whatnot. I just took friends there. We just admired the stuff and it was like a good fun time, like more than anything else. But like even take that aside, like there is so much of like an art scene in Atlanta that's very untapped, that's very like unrecognized in like the grand scheme of things. Like everyone thinks like New York, LA, Paris, London, like that's all the big
Oh
spots,
wow.
all fancy. But like if you take the time to like go through and look, Atlanta has a lot of really impressive like art galleries, art scenes, like abilities to actually make it as an artist here. So I can easily
Yeah.
see why for you, like once you took that additional leap of going from LA to Atlanta, once you got here, like you made it, like you owned it, like you got to chance to really be in that field that you had dreamed about whenever you were, a teenager at that point. Yeah, like you had the aspirations as a kid, but like really like take it seriously. Went to college, then like lost that little love, unfortunately because of the circumstances, and then rediscovering it thanks to Abby. Shout out to Abby. I hope you are watching this episode more than anything else.
Alrighty.
And now here you are. Plus, I will say it certainly didn't hurt that for you. Whenever you did touch down Atlanta, I don't know how much your art was refined, especially once you got there. But like seeing the art you have been able to produce or whatnot, it's very easy to see why the art scene would notice you. Like especially with like your illustrations alone. I cannot get enough of the illustrations I've been able to see that you've been able to present more than anything else.
Thank
Um,
you.
I have a good handful of ones, but I want to at least ask curiously, like right off the bat, what was it about illustration that made you like instantly go down that path? Like, why did you feel comfortable going down that path when it came to art?
Oh goodness. I think that is like part of it is just accessibility. My hand itches to make things.
Okay.
I cannot sit idle and not be making a little something. I am like doing crafts like during my like online therapy appointments. I'm like talking to my therapist and I'm like knitting. I'm like because I need to make something. And drawing, if you have a pencil and a surface that is drawable on, it doesn't even need to be paper.
Yep.
You can illustrate. It is there. It is there for you. And honestly, sometimes not even a pencil. Like I have done like actual work that I have turned into like prints and like used in a professional capacity with like crayons.
Yeah.
My my actually circling around. I am taking a detour, but
Hey, hey,
it's
hey.
relevant.
It's perfect. Look. I've said this to many people in the podcast before. I am not the driver of this conversation. You are. I am just the person in the passenger seat with the map, being like, "Yeah, we can take this detour. Like, let's go."
Yeah, you're an excellent navigator. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
But supplies wise, I work with when it comes to illustration, a lot of very cheap supplies. Like
Okay.
my preferred tools are like Crayola color pencils and
Nice.
like crayon and just like whatever computer paper I have lying around is usually what I am working on. Like I do have a sketchbook, but like it's full of like because I draw so much on like scraps and like receipts and napkins and everything, like it ends up glued into my sketchbook. And that's why my last sketchbook I just finished looks like this. For anyone
Jesus!
who's listening to audio only, my sketchbook is like I've measured it. It's 5 inches wide.
Jesus! Like, I know sometimes size doesn't matter, but Jesus, folks!
And I love
I need to have like a
illustrating. I
content
love
warning on that one because you just like unleashed that bad boy. Like, god damn.
it's so heavy. I've weighed it. It's over 10 pounds. It's huge. That one is retired. It's officially finished.
God.
As you can see, it cannot fit anything else.
I'd be
And that's
surprised if you
it. Like, I
could.
have it bound. I have it bound so it doesn't expand.
Exactly.
But yeah, illustration is so accessible, and that is like what I love. That's also why I like cheap supplies. Accessibility of art is so important. Art should be readily available at your fingertips. If you desire to make, you should be able to make in that moment, at
Oh,
any moment.
oh no, trust me. I'm kind of more or less in the same way. I was actually looking on my phone real quickly because there's actually I dabble with art here and there. Like I want to like devote myself a lot more. There was one time where I was just simply bored at work. And we were doing inventory at the time, which is where we like stop all our operations and we go through and we basically count like our stock, like what we have. And this is a giant warehouse, like 1,000,000 square feet. All right, so there are times where we get like a give it downtime where it's like, all right, we've counted all the stuff we need to see if we need to double check anything.
Yeah, fuck around then.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck around time. So I'm sitting at the table. We had just been given lunch, and we had these like styrofoam plates, and like I had my pen that I previously used when we came to like write down like what we did, like what we've got or whatnot. And just out of boredom, I'm putting it in our little group chat that we have right here. But like I drew this little thing, like just out of boredom or anything else. Like yeah,
I love it.
yeah, that
Texture, pattern, all of that. Also, styrofoam is legitimately a very fun material to draw on.
it
That's
really
really
is.
cool.
And like I'm gonna be make sure to plaster on here for the people that are watching, obviously like to show the visual for it or whatnot. But like that's the kind of art that like I feel more comfortable in. Just kind of like just starting off with like a simple line and just branching off as much as I can so I can fill up the page with like all these different textures and all these different like patterns that look aesthetically pleasing in one form or fashion. Or like if there's something that doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, it stands out for a reason. Like there's a reason why you want to pay attention to like that little area or that little shape or whatnot. Um, so like I can get why for you like you have the like you said like the different materials like the more accessible the better sometimes because that's it's as simple as that. I know I've seen like for example uh like you say that and some of the first pieces I thought about were some of like the alien pieces that you've been able to do or whatnot, like doing that with like crayons or like color pencils or whatnot. And like it's
Yeah.
such simple material, but like it really illustrates like a good point or like it illustrates like a fun design more than anything else. I love your art style as well more than anything else, like especially when you draw like figures and such. It's so cute and it's so adorable and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love a cute chubby little character, a cute little guy. I love a bit. I have a very chibi type of style. It, it my art is very cute, but like I think like my biggest like style inspiration, I say inspiration, style theft. I'm stealing this look. Steal her look. Is panty and stocking.
You know what?
I love the shape language of that show so much, and
That
I take like a huge amount of inspiration from it.
I'll say that art style, just in general, like the standard art style for it, is just iconic more than anything else. Like you could know nothing about the show, but you see that art style, you know exactly what it is. You know exactly where it's from, more than anything else. And
It's
like
so recognizable.
exactly, it's extremely recognizable. I was gonna say like hearing how that's more or less like the style that you more or less like get inspired from or whatnot. It does lead me to wonder like because you've done a lot of illustrated pieces. Like at least when it comes to the illustrations alone, do you have a personal favorite one?
Uh, yes. So that is it. Like I feel like especially if you like do art regularly, your favorite like will change frequently because you're gonna make new things.
Obviously, yeah.
Um, Yes, I make new things all the time. My like current like top of the mind like oh I love this like recent thing that I did is I did like a set of illustrations for like April and May of like these two little like really Animal Crossing style characters, like one in the
Hmm.
rain and one like in a forest, and they're like so cute and chibi. But I think like thinking back, if I look at like the body of work that I've created over the years, I think my very favorite piece and the piece that is like most significant to me is actually the featured piece from that first art show that I did,
Okay.
um, which is titled Culebra,
Okay.
which means serpent. And if you like scroll way back on my Instagram, it's there, but drop it in the general chat.
Yep. Yep.
Um, just to make your life easier. But it is it's this these hands reaching out for this blue serpent. And this like piece is based on, sorry, I'm like also locating it. There we go. Um, this piece
Oh
is based
wow.
on a real artifact, an artifact
Okay.
that is from the Aztec Empire. It is a blue serpent. They don't have like any contextual information about like what this serpent was supposed to represent. Is it a god? Is it a conceptual figure? Like what is it tied to mythologically? Because it was stolen. Uh,
Oh.
and then brought to the British Museum eventually. It was taken by the Spaniards and then passed around Europe, and now it's in the British Museum. This piece of Latin American history from the Aztec Empire. And I am Latino. Specifically, my mother is Salvadoran, but my family hails from that region of Mesoamerica and has Aztec roots.
Okay.
And that the idea that there is just this piece out there that my ancestors made that is stored with no context, no information, the history of it lost in a museum across the sea is frustrating, but also it is, regardless of the distance across physical space or time, there is a connection there.
Right.
There, it's two hands reaching out across the sea and across time and connecting via this piece to your own past, to your culture, to your people, to your ancestors, just to who you are. I think it is the most significant piece I've ever made because I had I didn't put any like thought into what I was doing while I was drawing it, while I was making it. It just felt right and I just did it. And then I took a step back and like I'm looking at it and I remember the first time someone asked me what does it mean was at this show. And that was like a question I had failed to practice
Oh wow.
before getting there. I hadn't thought about it. And I just started talking and all of that came out of me. Just this like anger of colonization, but also this like love for our history and culture and for the ability to connect with people who you have never met,
Right.
but who you are carrying in your DNA. Um, and so I think that that is probably still my favorite piece that I've ever made. And it's been a few years, but like I'm still really proud of it.
I mean, you should be. It looks absolutely stunning, and especially hearing like the history behind it and like the sentiment that, especially like you didn't even think about, but like you carried with you as you like made the piece or whatnot. Like, it makes so much sense. It also makes sense why the British Museum would be the one to have it because I'm pretty sure it's tradition for them to steal from other cultures, but that's a whole different story.
Love to steal. They love to do it. They've
They
got everything but British shit in that museum.
right? Like, oh my goodness. I was gonna say like
Crazy. Surely you have some of your own artifacts.
I mean, I'm sure they could steal something from the royal family or whatnot, like just put it in there, like there you go. But even then, I'm sure the royal family stole some of their stuff from other cultures. Anyways, this is the
Yeah.
British. This is the British. Remember, there was at one point to where the saying was the sun never sets on the British Empire. All right, if there's one thing they're known for, it's stealing. It's taking things that aren't theirs. Okay.
They love to do it. They're very good at it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but like that, learning about that piece and like I remember when I first saw it online and I thought like, wow, it's beautiful, it's stunning. Um, and then like the realization that like I don't know if I'll ever be able to like afford to travel to Europe. Europe is very expensive.
Yes, it is.
And so the likelihood of me ever seeing this in person is very slim, unfortunately.
Yep.
Um, and there was just like a lot of that feeling captured in that piece.
Absolutely.
Um, Yeah, actually, like style inspiration, circling back again, meandering roads. But I do draw a lot of my style inspo also from Aztec art, and like Mesoamerican,
Okay.
like historical art. And you can see it mostly in like my, again, like coming back to shape language. I love a really like crisp, clean line.
Mm-hmm.
I did recently an oracle deck of like these like really cool stylized animal drawings, and like I, without like even sort of like thinking about it, like I had just like started sketching them and I realized that like these look similar to the way that like animals are depicted in Aztec murals,
Right.
stylized and shapely and in these like weird poses, and like you only see the one eye of them because they're all like in profile. And I just like really leaned into that, and I find myself leaning into that style a lot.
I because I remember seeing the video of you showcasing like the Oracle deck or whatnot. Like I get that. I get that inspiration more than anything else. Especially like you said, like when it comes to the Aztec people, like I wish more people like saw and appreciated their style a lot more. Like I know historically, like they're probably one of the more appreciated cultures when it comes to Latin America or whatnot. But like especially the art style and that they presented or whatnot, it's some of the most stunning out there. Like my God.
Yes.
Um,
The art, the murals, the architecture, all of it. Unfortunately, like when you say like Aztec, I think like what most people think of first and foremost is like human sacrifice, which is I think wildly unfair because
yeah.
like in the greater context of the actual history is like they were just doing like the same war practices that like people everywhere around the world were doing. Like they were not
Exactly.
doing it any more extreme than like Europeans were. Um,
It's just if there's a certain way that a certain group can make another group look like savages, they will. Just
Yep.
saying.
Ooh, crazy.
I know,
But
hot
yeah, but like
take.
wild, huh? History written by the victors and not very well.
Exactly, exactly. Um,
Uh,
but it does also lead me to another point because obviously, like the illustrations is one thing, but seeing how well you've been able to kind of diversify your art, especially as a craftsperson as well, I am so amazed by seeing all the different ways that you've been able to express yourself. What is it about like? What creatively like sparks in you to try to explore different mediums when it comes to expressing yourself through art?
I see things and I want them. I see things and I want them. I want them for free. I want them for free. I want to make them. I want to make things. I want them for free. I want things. I want cool things and shit. I'm like, I see something cool in a store and I'm like, I will make it. I
There
will
you go.
find a fucking way. I will make it. I will have it. It will be mine by my own hands. But there's something so satisfying about owning something, showing something off, wearing something, having something, and
Right.
people being like, "Oh, that's so cool," and then being like, "Thanks, I made it. I made this earring. This is my first testosterone bottle from when I first started taking testosterone years
Oh
ago.
wow.
I've been carrying it with me ever since, and I have it as an earring. And I do make these earrings, like tea earrings that I like sell at markets. It's like one of my for the listeners, one of my crafts is jewelry. I make a lot of jewelry, and I call it like found object jewelry because
Okay.
it's a lot of random things. I like find cool random things, and I'm like, you could be earrings, you could be a necklace, you could be a bracelet, you could be a brooch, something, but you're coming home with me.
Right. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of art is something that I've always kind of like admired and like kind of wanted to tinker with myself, like because I know it, like all it is like finding the proper supplies and like trying to do it itself. Because there are so many just random items that I just grab, just like, oh, you look interesting in one form or fashion. Let me see if I can like maybe I could do something with you, and then I just shove them in a drawer and just never do anything with it. But you know, it's something that I could aspire for if I wanted to really like devote myself to it. And like honestly, especially hearing the like the sentimental value you have with that earring being the first one of testosterone, that if that's not a badass move more than anything else, I don't know what is.
Right? It's like every time I tell people, I think, "Whoa, that's so cool!" And it like one that's huge ego boost. Thank you. It is cool.
Oh,
It's very
absolutely.
cool to take testosterone with your friends.
Exactly.
But it's very fun and gratifying to like be able to say like I made this, like not, oh thanks, I like bought it at Target or whatever, like I found it on Amazon, but to say that I made this with my own two fucking hands is impressive, is fun, is satisfying. um and it's Like you make a little thing and now here is a creation and for a moment you are God
Yep.
because you have given life to something. I love making little things and I love forcing people to make them. I love forcing people to make little things. I, amongst my friend group, am known as someone who will come to a party with a craft for everyone. If
There
there was
you
not
go.
an activity planned for the evening, don't worry, I brought the activity. Everybody's making friendship bracelets for themselves and each other, and you're going to pass them around and trade them, and you're going to have a really great time and feel really satisfied in the little craft creation that you've made. Creating is so important. We all must create. What else were you put on this earth for if not to make silly shit?
Right. I mean, especially with like the silly shit you've been able to produce out there. Like you got like some incredible, like you said, you got the jewelry that you got right there. You got pins, you got stickers. One of the things I absolutely love that I've only seen like one photo of, and I want to see so much more of, is these little art dolls that you've made or whatnot. I
Um, I made this.
oh
He was the first art doll I ever made, and I'm so proud of him. His name is Sherbert.
you know what, that makes sense, especially seeing how colorful that he is or whatnot. Well, like what inspired you to try like tinkering with like art dolls or whatnot? Like what made you want to go down that path?
So a few different things. So a combination, like one, I draw a lot of character art. Like I create a lot of little characters, and like I never really talk about the stories when I post them. But like,
Okay.
if I character, I probably have a background story for them in my head, in my notes, in my sketchbook. I have like written like, here's where this character's from, who they are, what they're about, all of that stuff. Um, but I don't necessarily always share that. But like there's just tons of little guys living within me coming out all the time. um Two, at the time when I made this, I was super into Delightful, who is a doll customizer on YouTube.
Okay.
One of my favorite artists. I adore her work. We work in wildly different fields for the most part. In customizing what's called oak or one of a kind art
Okay.
dolls. She uses like Monster High dolls or Forever After High dolls as her base for customization. They look super cool. They're awesome. Check her out on YouTube if you haven't. It's honestly, even if you're not into like customizing yourself, it's a really fun watch. It's a cool medium.
Oh, I bet.
Like she has like a huge backlog of these dolls to customize. That costs money to accrue, and I didn't have those at the time, and I didn't have a lot of funds.
Yep.
um, but I had a desire to make a physical doll to have and put up on a shelf and have in my space. And so I was like, okay, what do I have? What supplies do I have? I will figure out a doll from whatever is available within my apartment right now. I'm not going to buy anything. I'll just make it happen. And did. I had like leftover felt from like other projects, and then like the shirt and pants are like two little pieces of scrap fabric from like a different like fiber arts thing I had done at the time. And I had like yarn because I was knitting, and I was like, okay, I'll make a little guy, and I'll make him out of felt.
Oh.
And like each doll is almost entirely just like materials and supplies that I had around my studio. I've been meaning to like re-edit the video and post it to YouTube because I'm like trying to do YouTube now.
Oh, there you
But
go.
I have one like sort of tutorial, mostly just like a walk through the process with me video on TikTok of me going through the process of making one of these dolls just spontaneously. And it's literally just I pull out these big boxes and bins full of shit, just full of stuff, and start digging through. And I'm like, this looks cool. This is a nice texture. This matches this color palette. And then less than 24 hours later, I have a little doll.
Oh.
And that went from like quick sketch and like supplies hunt to little creature that feels alive and real in the span of a day. And I love that. I love dolls as a medium. I'm huge on dolls and puppets. I have like way back there you can see like I have like a little shelf full of like clowns, and a lot of them are dolls that I've made or customized. But I love the concept of dolls as a medium because it's like we as humans creating this like little miniature version of ourselves, full of like whimsy and wonder for fun and play for no reason. They don't serve a purpose. Like dolls are not like a useful tool to create, but think of how long we've been making them.
Right.
That's crazy.
Like honestly, it's up there with like hieroglyphics I can think of when it comes to like some of the oldest art form, like having like dolls being made for like to help like to because in the most basic forms, like as simple as like soothing the children or whatnot, helping calm down children, like even if it's with the most basic of materials, like there wasn't yarn or anything like that back in the day, like that far
Yeah.
back. Like there was like stuff that they made weed like their clothes out of or whatnot. But like think about the material that we had back then compared to like what we have right now. It's where you're able to make like a guy like Sherbert and such.
Yeah.
Which I have to ask because you said like whenever you create one of these little dolls or whatnot, they each have like have a little backstory or whatnot. So I'm curious on Sherbert's backstory.
So Sherbert is a little guy who is like in my head was essentially a melted pile of ice cream came to life.
Oh, that's adorable.
You left your ice cream unattended on a hot day for too long, and he this is the puddle risen.
Okay, when you word it like
And he
that, that's a
has
little scary.
a bit body horror if you think about it too hard, but no, he's cute and fun, and
Yeah.
like his whole thing is just like because he is just made of pure sugar. That is like the personality that I have given him is that
Oh.
he is just like this fun, excited, energetic. Imagine a kid on a sugar rush,
Oh
and
goodness.
imagine that as like a little guy, and he's like that all the time.
I mean, I'm sure it'd be a lot easier to handle than a kid considering how small he is, more or less, but still.
The size of him is very essential. He is only as big as a melted puddle of sherbet would allow him to be.
Exactly, exactly. Oh goodness. In that case, don't if we wanted to go down like the body horror route, like just have them find like different like find a way to like get different sherbets or like find like an abandoned ice cream factory with like melted ice cream in it and it is like absorbing it into this big giant creature.
Killing that idea. What's going on the legs? Large sherbet.
Large sherbet. You're gonna
No, that's so funny.
you're gonna look at that label. Large sherbet. What was I hungry? What?
Oh my God. So many times I do that to myself because my notes are all so vague and I have like a million little notepads everywhere to like
Okay.
constantly write ideas. And then I forget what the fuck I was talking about all
Well,
the time.
well, if nothing else, I mean, you at least have video evidence of the idea right there.
This one at least I can go back and watch the episode. What was I on when I wrote that?
Exactly. It does leave me also curious as well, seeing how you've been able to use different mediums, such as like doing stuff with the wood or like stickers or whatnot. I have to ask, is there a particular kind of medium that you just love tinkering with? Like it's so appealing, it's so fun just to be able to to mess in that kind of field when it comes to art.
Ooh, that is fun. Okay. I Oh, so it is something actually that I've never posted and I've never shared, and like
Oh,
I don't do this work for profit at all.
okay.
It is my hobby art that I have set specifically as like I cannot utilize this as a tool for work because every other form of art that I do is like in some way my job.
Right, right.
But I make a lot of like candy bracelets. I don't know if you how
Oh.
much you know about like rave culture.
A
Um,
little bit. I mean, I don't know if you could tell, but being in bumfuck nowhere, Georgia, or whatnot, we're not really keen to a lot of raves around here. So, um,
Fair. I'm
but
sure it's a far drive to get to
just a
most
little
of
bit.
them.
But like, I'm not completely ignorant to it. Like, I'm aware
Yeah.
there is a culture there, and I've seen like obviously like the standard like little clips that you see when it comes to like rave culture in general or whatnot.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun environment. It's really cool. I do go to a lot of raves. I enjoy them a lot.
Okay.
But one of the like most fun aspects of raves to me is candy trading. And I make a majority of what I make is like little what's called singles, which is just like a single strand bracelet. But I have made like a few more complex pieces. But you can get really complex with candy. Like you can make things like rotating cuffs,
Oh
which is
wow.
such a cool and weird art form to enjoy. Or you can make like I've seen people make like whole like beaded purses where like it imagine like pixel art, but each pixel is a bead. Um,
Wow.
it's so cool and it's like so random and it's like this. cheap silly material that is like mostly for like bracelets for children, but like you make them, and like part of this medium is the giving and trading. It's not just the making it, but it's the trading it
Right.
that is so satisfying. And so I love making little candy bracelets and cuffs and cool like little fancy things out of candy, and then like trading them away at raves and like seeing what other people have made. But like it's a very I probably should start like at least posting them, but like I again, it's something that I would never sell because it goes against the spirit of the craft.
Right.
Um,
Right.
which is just make
Like
a silly thing and trade it.
I mean, like you said, like this is more hobby than it is work. Like there is a when it comes to art, there is a good fine line where you can separate the two, and especially with something like that, where there's actually a culture behind it, not just let me just do this fun little thing behind it. Like no, there's a culture and a sense of community when it comes to that kind of thing. Because what's a better way to connect with a bunch of random strangers than by trading candy among each other? You know?
Yes. It's so fun. Yes, I've made so many like immediate like you trade candy with somebody at a rave and like you're besties now.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
best friends. It's delightful. I very recently I went to like an anime rave and traded a bunch of candy and like gifted a bunch. And I made friends with like the light tech person because they were killing it, doing a great job.
Oh, I bet.
And they're behind the booth working, and I'm like, as soon as they like took a pause and like all of that, I'm like, because I didn't want to interrupt, obviously. I'm like, here you go, this is for you. You're killing it tonight. This has been a killer rave, and they were like so excited
Yeah.
to like receive a little treat for doing their job. And I think I love candy not just for like one the like really like a truly astounding amount of creativity you can have in this medium. Like some of these rotating cuffs are insane. I think like my favorite one I've ever seen that I'm like still in the process of trying to recreate is it is a little rubber ducky on a river, and like it rotates around so the ducky is like going down the river and across it's
What?
like the sides of a pond, like little flowers and grass and stuff on the sides of the cup. And I'm like, that's so cool. But like it is not only like the creativity you can have with it, but that like there's a built-in sense of community with this
Right.
craft. And I love that.
That's really cool to hear, and honestly, like I do hope you get the opportunity to share that with people, because I imagine there are some people that, like myself, they're hearing about this aspect of it for the first time and they're like, wait, what? I want to see it. Like I'm so curious on like how creative people could get with this kind of stuff. Like just hearing that rubber duck one alone like has me like, I if I see that in real life, you're my best friend, like forever and always. Like that you are the
It's
coolest person.
truly, it's like so sick. You see it like that's mind blowing. I can't believe you made that out of like beads from Walmart.
Exactly, right? I mean, I, and like especially with if that's stuff you're not showing or whatnot, like if you're like it that's gonna be something that's surprising, because based on the stuff you have been able to show, I have been absolutely amazed with what you've been able to do or whatnot. Like, I was gonna mention this, but like when it comes to some of your illustrations, like on top of what you said or whatnot, my personal favorite ones is Thunderstruck and the two wolf ones, either JPEG or Remix or whatnot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I love like I love the art style of both. I love the colors, especially when it comes to the Wolf remix one. Like I love how the colors were for that one. Thunderstruck, I mean, you could tell there was a lot of power and defiance behind that one, and I love that. And then when it came to like your craft stuff, my personal favorite one, and I kind of chuckled a little bit because you had mentioned it like the beginning of the podcast how you were basically like an emo, and like people you said like, well, people probably wouldn't think that I was like emo based on the stuff that I presented, but based on one piece that I saw, I could have made that connection, and that was that old bird cage. Seeing that little woodwork that you made or whatnot.
Oh, a deep cut. That was old. But I am really proud of that piece still. And yeah, I was like still definitely like heavy in the swing of being very emo when I made it.
Well, I mean, like, wow, I sound like a transformer for half a second there. Was that, but no,
Glitching.
yeah, glitchy. No, but like, especially with that old birdcage, I'm curious on what the inspiration was for that. I can kind of imagine what it could have been, given like again how deep of a cut that is. But like, legitimately, like, what inspired that piece more than anything else?
Oh man. So that piece actually, I would have to scroll all the way back on my Instagram, but I don't think I even posted the full piece. It's a fold out book.
Oh, is it
It's
now?
not just the one lungs. You fold it, and like one side is a heart and the other side is mine, and then you open it and it's the lungs, and that's the piece was from when I was a biology student
Really?
and was like super into like drawing anatomical art, and I was dealing with a lot of like complex grief about like having dropped out of art school and like still wanting to make express myself creatively, and
Okay.
I felt so stuck, and I felt like all of this like creative energy was just like trapped inside of me with nowhere to go, and I think that that's what's in the birdcage is
Okay.
all of that. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of a different piece.
Oh.
Yeah, oh, I remember what that one is. That's still an older one, but that one's the ribs on a plaque, right?
Yeah, that was that one that I was thinking of.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, my bad.
Because I was remembering though. Now that you describe it, I remember also seeing that one that you were talking about, the one that opens up as well. Because I think that's also, I believe that's also on your portfolio where I saw this, these pieces or whatnot. I think that was one of the OOAK ones, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's like a really, really old one.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty sure I gave a very similar name, which is why they were like inflated in my brain.
Fair
But
enough. Fair enough.
that one, the birdcage one, I was just getting like back into the swing of like making art regularly,
Okay.
and oh, actually, now that like I think about it, it's like a very similar headspace of like I was feeling like I have all of this like creativity and this like energy and like things that I want to make, and I like don't know how to get them out of me. Like I was feeling super rusty. Like was like I'm making a very sudden shift from drawing casually as a hobby to like doing this as my career and as like a job, and like drawing way more and like creating way more, and it's like I could feel like just a well of ideas and like not enough hours in the day, not enough materials and supplies and
Yeah.
resources to make it happen, not enough skills in certain mediums to do the things that I wanted to do. And I it was a little bit paralyzing.
I can
All of
imagine.
that like creative energy with nowhere to go. It was a little bit paralyzing. And so I threw that piece together in the course of one night,
Oh
with
wow.
just materials that were around my studio. I had that little like that rib cage is from a Halloween decoration,
Oh wow.
um, that I took apart. R.I.P. to that skeleton.
Look, it's okay.
And
It's okay, Claude. You're safe.
okay,
You're safe. I promise.
you're okay. I promise. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to your mother.
How
Um,
dare you? How dare you?
he's fine. He's happier as an art piece. But I had that rib cage that I just had like laying around, and then I had these like little foam scraps, and I ended up like drawing the organs on them because again I really like doing anatomical art,
Right.
and like I still have like a lot of that like. And like, I spent a lot of time in bio class like copying illustrations out of my textbook. I all of those like organs is just like junk in there trapped with all of the art and
Right.
other shit that I want to get out of me, and like feelings that I didn't have words for, and like a lot of like stress and frustration. It felt like I was full all the time with no outlet.
Right.
And then I made that piece, threw it together, and didn't share it for months.
Wow.
I did not do anything with it for months. And it wasn't until I was like um, clearing out studio space and like bringing things over to a new gallery that I was working with. And I was like, let me, see if maybe this they want this piece, and I brought it with me to the showing, and they loved it. One, they loved the piece, and two, it sold right away.
Oh
And
wow.
I was so surprised. I was honestly a little bit shell shocked because I was like, oh wait, I like didn't even process that I really liked that piece, and now it's gone.
Well, now someone else really likes the piece, and now another person really likes the piece. So.
And I'm glad. I'm glad that it was so popular. It's so funny the things that like people end up loving, or like the things that you express that you like that I've worked on, because like I the all of the pieces that you've said you liked the best are ones that I did not feel confident about in the moment.
Really.
Like I felt like I was being like too cynical and too literal with that old birdcage. I felt like um thunderstruck, I was really really struggling with the color palette, and again, color blindness. Like I don't usually like curate my own palettes. I search for a palette in a theme that I like. I'll like type in a word of that feels right and then like find a palette from that. And the dog one, the reason that there's two of them is because I could not decide how I wanted to approach that piece. Like, my confidence was like a little bit shaken every time I put those out, and I think that that's like the case for a lot of my work. Which I guess there's a lesson there in that like you should put things out anyway, even if
Yeah.
you don't feel super confident about it yet. Put it out anyway, because I was so surprised that that piece, that old birdcage, it did not last even a single day in that gallery before it was gone and sold.
God.
Somebody loved it.
No, it's that's really impressive, and that sentiment they said right there in the end of like, no matter how you think about it, just put it out there. Like you never know what's gonna appreciate that. I've always been like that with this podcast, more or less. Like that, I have had, like you said at the beginning, I've had over like 200 episodes on this podcast, and there are times where I will doubt myself when it comes to like some of the conversations. Like, are people gonna appreciate this? Like, do people like this stuff that we're talking about? Like, dot dot dot. But that's just me being like super cynical in my head. Um, it also made me think of I don't know if you could tell by my background or whatnot, but I'm a huge fan of a certain rapper that I may be indicating my hand right here, Tyler the Creator.
I love him.
Yes,
Adore him.
I love him so much, and I imagine you're like, I don't know how you are, but I love his new album, Don't Tap the Glass. It's such a fun album, and I'm so glad we have like fun albums like that one out there in the world. But have you heard the story about how that album even came to be in the first place?
No, I haven't actually. I like just gave a listen to it the other day on the drive back down from South Carolina.
Right? And like such a simple album. No, it's one of those like in the middle of touring for Chromacopia, which I don't know how you feel about that album. That's honestly my favorite Tyler album, straight up.
Life changing. It was so good. I could, if we got into it, we would be talking about it for
Oh,
ages.
I know. We could have a whole entire another podcast just talking about that stuff. But like that's my personal favorite. But he was talking about like how halfway through this Chromacopia tour that he was doing or whatnot, he was just feeling like worn out and like burnt out because especially with a deep and heavy album like that, you know, you put a lot into it and you really put yourself out there like that. And like for him, he was struggling to even keep on going with the tour. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna give myself a month, just a single month. I'm not gonna overdo it. I'm gonna make some fun beats. I'm gonna rap and sing over them or whatnot, and I'm just gonna put it out there and see how the world loves it. And that's what he did.
Killed it.
He took a month while on tour, by the way. Took a month, recorded all that stuff, and just put it out there. No major like setup aside from like maybe like the night before or like the weekend before where he like presented it after an album being like, you know, hey, all y'all go home, don't tap the glass, and then there was like a little figurine of like his Big Poe character or whatnot. And like he just put it out there and people love that album. Like it's all, you know, they love how fun it is more than anything else. And like, yeah, sometimes you don't need to just overthink it. You just need to like, you know, all you just need to do is just put it out there. Like, no matter how frustrating it may seem, no matter how perfect you want it to be in a certain way or whatnot, sometimes you just need to get that shit out there.
Literally, you need to get it out of you. Just put it out there. I struggle with like perfectionism a lot, and that's like I think something that I have to remind myself of frequently. And it's very cool to hear that like an artist I idolize as much as him also does, because I love Tyler not just like for his music, but like his artistry as a whole, the craftsmanship
Yes.
of his albums and his production and his concerts and like the media around the album. He is an artist, like a true an artist in like the classical sense of the word.
Absolutely. I would say like again when it comes to like the music itself, the way that he presents himself with like the albums and like the characters he embraced, all the different aspects of art aside from like the albums, like the stuff when it comes to like the shows and like video production, animation and stuff, or like the clothing line, you know, golf and all that stuff. Like the amount of time and effort that he truly puts in there, like partially as the perfection aspect, but also like partially just to be out there and really present himself to the fullest as best as he can, as best as he wants to, more than anything else. Like it's something that's why he is my absolute like favorite artist and my number one like dream guest. If I can get the opportunity to even chat with Tyler the Creator, this podcast could end and I could be happy. All right, like
I completely feel you. I understand you. You're so right. He's so fucking cool. My like biggest like coolest celebrity sighting I've ever had was Tyler the Creator.
Really?
I saw him across the street, and like the world stopped. It was like, Tyler, what the?
I both envy you and I appreciate you.
Left him alone. Like I'm not going to disturb that man.
No,
and
that's
like
fair.
general LA, you don't bother celebrities.
I mean, I will say I'm glad enough to be that I have been in the same building as him because I was at the Chromacopia concert when it came to Atlanta. So, yep.
I'm still devastated I didn't get to go to that one.
I know.
It was a very busy time, and also it was insanely expensive.
No.
And I had recently been to we'd been to Megan Thee Stallion and then Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's extremely valid. And look, I agree. Whenever I tell you that's extremely expensive, my credit card still hates me for it.
That's rough. Yeah, Tyler was like right in the middle of those two shows, and so it was like, I'll stay home. My wife got to go, and I'm still seething with jealousy.
But regardless, like especially with that kind of mentality that you have as well, of just like, you know, what you were talking about with like those pieces that I mentioned or whatnot, you know, sometimes you didn't realize until after the fact that like all I just needed to do was just get it out there, and there are people that absolutely loved it more than anything else. Like you said, like the piece that I absolutely love, my favorite piece, that old birdcage, was gone in less than a day, and I can totally understand why, because it looked that stunning. It really did. It does lead me to wonder though, if those are ones that you were unsure about, what is your favorite piece just in general? Because I know you mentioned some of the illustrations that you loved or whatnot, but like, is there one of the ones in the other mediums that you are a huge fan of?
Yes. So it's one of the dolls.
Okay.
It's one of I think it is one of the first ones that I posted. And it's Petite Noir, and he's this doll that has like a starry night theme.
Okay.
He's one that I took a lot longer to make, like compared to my other art dolls, and like he's entirely like scrap materials that I just had laying around.
Okay.
But I had like such a story for him in my head when I was making him, and I was so like proud of how he came out. And he is actually still a piece. He is surprised. He's a piece that has not sold yet,
Oh
despite like
wow.
my love and confidence in him. And like that hasn't like changed my view of this piece at all. I'm still like, I think this is one of the coolest things I've ever made. He has a like bell inside of him
Oh.
because conceptually he is like there's a lot of lore, but conceptually he is like a living rattle for a cosmic being that is like
Wow.
the concept of God exists and created the universe but is a child, and that is why things are a mess. God is a toddler with a crayon and we are doodles on a page,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that is the rattle for that like concept of God that I
Okay.
had thought of.
No, that's honestly like I. First off, I love that concept. That is just one that you just hear and you can't help but at least like laugh a little bit, like giggle, but also be like, actually, that kind of makes a little too much sense.
I was experiencing too many of the circumstances of life at the time.
At the time, I
In general, always,
was gonna
definitely
say.
after these things are happening so much.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. But no, like that's honestly like, especially seeing that piece, especially hearing that story, like I can see why there's a lot of love when it comes to that one. Like that's honestly really sweet, and like I will say, if it doesn't sell, I sincerely hope you get the opportunity to hold that one near and dear for like as long as you can, because I can see why that has like a special place in your heart more than anything else. I mean, like, yeah.
I personally I feel like I think that the pieces that I'm like most proud of, I also like form just a powerful attachment
Oh
to,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm not like a particularly religious person, but I am like kind of spiritual and believe in like just the general energy of the universe. I think I am too attached to that piece for it to sell. Like, I think I love that piece so much that he can't sell because I think about like him going away to someone and it always makes me a little sad.
Then I hate to just put bluntly like this. Then why don't you just keep it? Why don't you just not sell it? Because you've got formed that much of an attachment at that point. Like I understand you need to eat. Like food needs to be put on the table, but like you could also like make more dolls. You can make more pieces if you have a special attachment to that one in particular.
That is true, but also I think I'm like confronting that reality that like I think I actually don't want to sell him right now in this moment.
Okay.
Like I think that is like because I've never articulated that, but like it's occurring to me now that like he's a piece that I am like so attached to, and like also one of like my oldest pieces, and it's like unusual for me to have something for that long and for it to not move.
Right.
And I think it is. I'm probably going to go and collect him from the gallery that's hosting him the next time I go, which is kind of a shame because he has like a really cool spot there.
Oh.
And so he's essentially also become part of their like display. So it's cool. Every time I go and I drop off work, I get to see him again.
Well, there you
But
go.
I think we'll just keep him. I
There
think
you
I'll
go.
take him home. I don't need to be there anymore.
It's probably for the best. He's had his vacation years more than anything, or he's had his college years, like really getting the chance to really explore a different kind of the art world. But now it's time for him to come home and really settle down and live a good life.
Yeah, I think it is time to recollect that piece. And I make new things all the time to bring and restock at that gallery. I'm sure they will not mind if I bring them something else to put in that spot.
Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, just thinking about it's cool to have to know that you have that opportunity as well to like constantly sell pieces at like a gallery like that. Like like you had said, like as soon as you touch down from LA, to Atlanta or whatnot, like the fact that you got such cool opportunities, the fact that you are now at this point right now to where you get to live that artist life that you only like dreamed about when you were younger. Like taking a full step back and thinking to your art journey as a whole. Like, does it surprise you more or less how far you've been able to come and how far you've been able to develop as an artist?
Oh my God. Little me would be like stunned and baffled. Because again, like it was only like by the time I was like in high school that I started thinking, like, I kind of want to do this as a job, but I have no idea what that looks like.
Right.
Like, I am incredibly proud of like how far I've come. And like, I hope just to go even further than this. And I don't think little me would even be able to believe me that I'm like, no, yeah, art is like my full-time job. I do art. I do art and that is my job. And I get to call myself an artist. It's kind of be calling yourself an artist and being an artist is kind of a tricky thing in that like you don't need a degree. You don't need to have a boss. You don't need to like if you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to law school. If you want to be a doctor, you have to go to med school. If you want to be a truck driver, you have to drive trucks. You
Yeah.
need and then you need a license. What do you need to be an artist? Nothing.
I was like
Nothing
creativity.
but creativity and the desire to make art. You don't need anything. And so you get to decide when you call yourself an artist. And it's
Right.
been very hard for me to like accept that label and be able to say like no, like professionally, like my job is an artist. I'm not just somebody who draws. I'm not just somebody who like makes things. I am an artist.
Yeah.
And I say that and I mean that now. And that is even if you ask me like 2 3 years ago, I don't think I could have said that with confidence, because it is the only thing stopping you from calling yourself an artist is yourself, is you.
Right.
You give yourself that title. You decide if that's your job. Even if you have like a day job, you decide if you are also an artist.
No, that's extremely valid. And it's good to know that you've more or less like accepted that for yourself. Like you said, like if little you could see you now, they would just be amazed at like, wow, you actually did it. You are an artist.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like, oh, my like work exists in a brick and mortar store currently today. Like
Yeah.
you could go to Empire Arts Gallery and my stuff is there on the walls. That's crazy. And like I'm in like art markets and shows and like sometimes I teach classes and like I as with like the actual work that I create, I have my hand in many pots
There you go.
as far as paying the bills as an artist, which I think is like the case probably for everyone who is like supporting themselves on an art career. You're doing a million things, and it is exhausting and a lot of work. And I am working every day, all of the time. But
Absolutely.
I cannot imagine doing anything else. I love this. I genuinely do. Even when I'm like sitting there frustrated, like, pressure. I have to get things done. Like I have to get so much work done this month and I have to get it done so early because I have my birthday is in like 2 weeks and
Oh
then
wow.
Dragon Con is immediately after that and then I have a market and show immediately after that.
Goodness.
Back to back to back. And so I need to get like all of my like work done, like my mandatory monthly work done, as soon as possible. but and there's nobody else who does it but me. I look at it like, oh, my boss is so cruel, cracking the whip, forcing me to get stuff done. I'm my boss.
Yeah, you're the one that has the whip in hand. Be like, why would my boss keep putting me in this situation?
Oh, my boss made the schedule so busy. Fuck you. It's you. You did this.
Look, all I'm just saying is if you want to find some way to take our thumbnail and make it to physical art, there's one piece for you. I don't know if it'll sell, but you can make that reality. Oh goodness, no, but like it's really good to see that you've gotten to this point. It's really exciting, like more than anything else, and like here you are being able to do this kind of stuff. But for this next question, if I may, what if we go a little bit above and beyond, and I give you RD the dream scenario, if I may. Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to him like, look, RD, we have seen what you've been able to do, and honestly, we are impressed beyond compare. We know that there is so much more that you could potentially do. You just need a little extra push, a little extra platform to get you to that point more than anything else. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money than there should be possible. We probably should be taking that money and reinvesting into artists themselves, make sure that they can, have a solid, consistent salary, maybe some health insurance, and all those benefits.
Fairly for the work.
Yeah,
Unionize.
exactly. But we'll focus on them in a little bit. We promise. Right now, we're focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream RD Nicely or the dream Malopeach art project?
My dream project is I have had this idea for a game since I was like in middle school.
Okay.
And I don't know how to fucking code. I can't learn because coding takes a long time and I lack patience.
That's valid.
It is. There's a lot of explanation that has to go into this. I apologize.
Hey, no. This is a podcast where I've let you ramble this far. I think a little bit more rambling about what you're about to talk about is more than worth it. Go on.
Thank you. There is this concept in Buddhism that if you die like unfulfilled and like have not met like your karmic goals in life and like it's time to like move on, you essentially have like 100 demons to defeat.
Oh wow.
And these demons are a bunch of concepts within your life. And I remember reading that in a book like back in middle school in my library. Just like I read about a lot of random topics. Catch me in the nonfiction section frequently. I was reading about Buddhism that day.
Hell yeah.
But I thought that was so fascinating, the idea of like reconciling with your internal demons in the very real sense of like defeating them or feeding them. And so I came up with this concept and I have it like all written out. I've like drawn sprites for it. I've drawn the demons themselves, and it would be like a very multimedia made game. Like the demons that I've drawn are all on like loose leaf paper, like lined paper, and I would want to take those out and put them in the game like as that drawing. That's visual stuff. But essentially you are a character who has died suddenly, unimportant. Now you are traversing the layers of the afterlife and encountering all of these demons, concepts like anxiety or rage, but also or things like hunger, but also like smaller demons like pettiness,
Yeah.
um, or losing things, and just like the all of these demons to work through, and you can like fight them, trying to defeat them, trying to overcome them, or you can feed them. And that doesn't necessarily always mean like fist fight them. Like there are some that I have that conceptually that you would have to like fight. Like Rage as a demon, you would have to fight. That is a very angry character that wants to fight you. But
Right.
that in that one also is a tricky one in that like fighting him also feeds him. And at the end of the game, you go through this checks and balances of like how many demons did you actually defeat versus how many did you feed, and where does that place you now in your next life in your karmic cycle. um and I have had this idea for ages. I have
Okay.
had bits and pieces of it for ages, and I have had none of the skills to make a game happen.
Honestly,
uh
like that, it seems like the concept alone seems really, really cool. Like, is this something that you've really been able to put out there into the world as something that you'd like to tinker with?
I so the only place, oh god, the only place where information and details about this game is posted is my old
Is the
DeviantArt.
old DeviantArt? Yep, yep.
I posted a lot about this game and this concept, but I would definitely like to retouch on those and like revamp them, and like honestly, I think that'll probably be a fun project to tackle. Of just like even if I can't make the game, I think just like putting the idea out there. And who knows, maybe if I do put the idea out there, might actually find people who do know how to code and would want to make help me make this happen, and we can work together. Um, but yeah, this feels very, just talking about it feels very inspiring and invigorating, and I'd like to go and dust off those sprites and all of that because like I really have like a lot of love for this project that I have only shared as like a 12-year-old with a dream, and not now that I'm like a working adult. Even though it's like in this hypothetical scenario where you're like, oh, where we have all of the resources and money to make it happen, and it's like, okay, well, fuck it. What if I don't have the resources and money? What if I just do it anyway?
Yeah. Or like, if nothing else, like you said, like you're thinking about possibly putting it out there into the world. Well, this episode's going to come out. You're putting the idea out there in the world. Maybe there'd be someone in the audience that could be like at least curious about it. Maybe we can find some people that would love to work, like collaborate with you and like maybe work to make this idea a thing, because it's a really interesting concept, kind of like finding the proper balance of fight versus feed more than anything else, like how you tackle the demons in one form or fashion can kind of lead to like your kind of like either I guess acceptance in the afterlife or however you interpret it or whatnot. Like there is an interesting concept that could be worked out if we could if there are people that are truly interested and want to make this thing a reality. Plus, like you said, you've worked on like the sprites alone, and seeing the art style you've been able to present, I can only imagine, like, especially once you get a chance to like revamp it a little bit or whatnot, like what you could put out there could be something fun and be like a fun little indie game idea that could be put out there into a world and people would absolutely love.
Yeah, yeah. I think yes. I think playing around with this hypothetical has really it's reinvigorated the spark for that project. And since the episode is going to be like coming out soon, uh, for you dear listeners, I will absolutely post at least a little bit about this game.
There
I
you
will
go.
post some sprites and things about this game for sure.
Yeah, you're personally gonna go find that old DeviantArt account and you're gonna put it on. Then not
I'll just redraw things. I'll just redraw things. Redraw them, I promise.
But sadly, we have to get down from the dream scenario and we have to get back to reality. And I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
So I actually, at the start of this year, I sat and like and very intentionally did like a lot of meditating about like what do I want for my art career? What are my goals? What do I think is like uh not only possible but like even a step beyond that. And my commitment is that I would love to open like a brick and mortar space in Atlanta
Okay.
of like a place where like I sell my art, but also my other art friends, because I have a lot of art friends, sell their art. And also, more importantly, where we do art classes and like host art events. We already have things like the bakery and the supermarket and all of that stuff. But I'm thinking something that is like 50% store, 50% come and make zines here.
Yeah.
Because like I do, like I said, I do teach classes sometimes,
Okay.
and I would love to be able to have like my own space to do that instead of having to like always like work with other places to like make that happen.
No, that honestly be really cool having that kind of physical space to kind of do what's happening with Empire Arts or whatnot, like having that kind of physical space, but also being
Yeah.
able to expand on that a little bit more and like make it not just a place where people can admire art, but kind of grow their own love and passion for their own art in one form or fashion. Um,
Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna go ahead and say if you do get a chance to do that brick and mortar store, and if you do want to do like say a live recording of the Postmodern Art podcast where I bring a guest in or whatnot, like I think that'd be really cool to do. I would love to do like a live like in person with a crowd play and like that yeah, that'd be cool.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Oh yes, I want to do like so many events and like things like that, and like that would be so fun, and it would be rad to have you come down and do
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Look, I like we talked about. We were talking about all the traffic and stuff earlier. I'm only a couple hours away from Atlanta. Like, I do not mind making a trip for something like that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So like currently I am looking at spaces and like because we have
Ooh.
unfortunately a fair number of dead malls now who are like
Yep.
not dead but like exist and they're there and there's like a lot of space. But like that's and I like hope other like artists and creatives and like community oriented people capitalize on this, but like that real estate, like the rental spaces there are very cheap
Oh,
because nobody goes to the fucking mall anymore, but like people would
unfortunately.
go to the mall if there was like intentional community oriented spaces and
Yeah.
things that like stuff like this. So,
Kind of like what a mall was initially intended for in the first place. Kind of a fun little community of
yes.
stores more than anything else, and like places to go and hang out and relax and get away from society for a little bit. You know. I mean,
Yeah,
especially
hang out, build community, that sort of thing.
exactly. And honestly, like a brick and mortar place at a mall or whatnot, where you're able to present that kind of stuff and let people more or less go, like, yeah, do that. That'd be sick. That'd be incredible. I want to see that. Let me know when that happens. I'll advertise. I will advertise the living shit out of that place on this podcast. All right.
Oh, yeah, I have to get better at doing taxes first, but it will
That
be coming.
that's a good start. That's a
Happen
good
soon.
step in the right direction.
That's the 5 year plan. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that'd be incredible to see once you actually make that reality. Um, as we start to wind down the interview, I just got one last question I want to ask you, RD. Obviously, you are deeply entrenched in art at this point. Like you've had your ups and downs when it comes to the art field, but at this point, you are in there, and there is nothing that's gonna rip you away from this space in one form or fashion. How important is art, not just for you, but for the world as a whole?
It is essential. It is essential. It is on the pyramid of needs, like down there with like food, water, shelter. Like humans have been making art since we became human and probably even before that. It is so important to be creative and expressive and to have an outlet for that. And I don't just mean like in illustration or in
Mm-hmm.
craft or things like that. Like expanding the definition of art to like a a create like a space where you are making creative intentional decisions. A podcast is art. There is a lot of work that goes into this.
Yep.
Editing, curating the guests, planning your questions, all of that. That is art. Film is art. Dance is art. All of these things are art. You need creative outlets to live and exist and be a person. And I'm not saying that like every artist is like a perfect person, but every person I know who has not allowed themselves to have any creative outlet are some of the most poorly adjusted, emotionally constipated people I've ever met. You need to make art. It doesn't need to be good or perfect. It doesn't even have to be art that you share if you're a particularly private person and you'd rather keep it to yourself, but like you need to make art to live and exist in this world.
Absolutely. That is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself. Um,
Thank you.
Artie, that is all the questions that I have for you. Obviously, I've showered you with Lord knows how much praise at this point, but I'm showing you a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do what I want. Um,
Thank you.
no, absolutely. Like I said, Artie, ever since I first found your stuff while I was looking for guests at a certain time, like I have been amazed with what you've been able to present. Like just the style you have to present as well as the variety of ways you've been able to present it, like I absolutely love it, and that's why I wanted to make sure I get you on this podcast because I love how you've been able to express yourself, and I know that like not limiting yourself to just one single field is a great way for you to be able to like truly express yourself like some artists may never get the opportunity to do, and like I truly love and appreciate that. Getting the chance to really sit down with you right now and get to know like the true backstory, what got you to this point or whatnot. Like I already had like a high level of respect for what I had, but now it's through the roof. There is no ceiling. Like that love and respect is outpouring because I could tell that like you've been there, like you've been on that road, you've been on the grind one form or fashion, like you said, the highs and lows, you had the love for it, then you kind of lost it a little bit, or like you weren't sure if you wanted to fully commit into it, and like the fact that that love was always underlying, but whenever you really got the opportunity to truly express yourself like you never had before, like it was really it's inspiring more than anything else, and I sincerely hope that there are other artists that if they're, you know, when they listen to this, if they're struggling in one form or fashion of thinking like, should I go down this path, should I really commit, if it's something that they are as passionate about just like you have been as passionate about this entire time you've been down this path, I think they definitely should go for it, because if nothing else, you're a good example of what it could be like if you truly set your mind to it and you commit to it, because seeing how you've been able to do that and seeing how you plan to further show that love and passion that you have throughout the years and hopefully grow more and more, it just makes me really excited for whatever's going to be happening next. And if you don't know by now, I'm going to be rooting for you every single step of the way with whatever's going to be happening next, because I am excited to see what you could be. I am excited to see what you could potentially make, and I'm excited to see where you could potentially go from here. The long and the short of it is, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for putting yourself out there, because I know it's not the easiest thing to do. Especially in today's day and age where it seems so easy to put something out and then it gets lost in the ether. Like the fact that you still stay true and passionate to yourself and are able to showcase that love, no matter where the inspiration comes from or what you're inspired to create with. Thank you for doing that, and please keep up the incredible work, because you deserve it and so much more.
Oh my God, thank you. You're so sweet. That's so kind. Thank you so much.
Hey, you know, I'm just being honest. I don't bring on guests on here and lie to their face, okay? Like you've earned it at this point, and I think you deserve so much more.
I truly appreciate that so much. It's like it's one thing, like of course, you know, your friends and loved ones like tell you, oh, like we love your work is cool. But it's like, oh, you love me, you have to say nice things about me. It's so nice to hear that from someone who was a stranger to me a few months ago.
I know, right? Right? And now here we are, basically, like, at this point, like, we're friends. There's nothing that's gonna, like, tear this shit apart, all right?
Absolutely. This is lovely.
Like, we definitely need to figure out at some point where we can, like, link up and, like, do some cool shit, whether it be, like, yeah, like I said, like, I'm planning on going to MomoCon next year, so I know that could be a thing. Or, like, hell, I make
I
trips
go
to
to
Atlanta.
MomoCon every year.
And like, I make trips to Atlanta, like, you know, here and there or whatnot. I'm sure I could set some time aside and be like, hey, yo, let's you know, let's do something. Like, let's have some fun, you know?
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, like I go to like all of the conventions here. I go to like a ton of art events. I can hit you up when like art things are happening if
I
you want
would
to come make the drive down and come do stuff.
I would appreciate that, because I would love to absorb more of the art scene that Atlanta has to have more than anything else. But if the people at home want to see more of what you have to offer in one form or fashion, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home. Where can people find more about you and the art you present?
Oh goodness me.
Yes, you.
Um, so you can find everywhere that I am on my webpage, malopeach .card.co. That's MALOPEACH. Trying to spell peach in my brain.
Here, let me help you out with. Let me help you out with that. It's
There we go. That's how you
PEACH.
do that. Um, but you can also find me on Patreon, is where like my monthly work comes out. I actually have a mail club. I love physical art and being able to send people physical art. So joining my mail club, I send people prints and illustrations and stickers and pins and paper crafts. I love doing paper crafts.
Oh, I bet.
And Patreon is just like a great excuse to do that. I made this really cool like paper like circus Ouija board ages ago. That was really fun. I sent that out as like a Patreon reward for the mail club. So like if you like getting fun, weird art in your mail every month, you can sign up for that, and I will send you fun, weird art. I'd love to do it.
I'm just that first off, that is incredible, and all those links I will have them in the description. And if you missed any, I'll be sure to have them there as well. So I got you covered. Not the old DeviantArt. I promise that's not going to be down there. Okay, I got you covered. But secondly, I just gotta say, thinking about the clown Ouija board, I'm just thinking like if someone wanted to take that seriously, be like, if you are here, say something. HONK HONK. Are you a clown? Yes. Fuck. uh,
Yes, that's exactly the vibe. That's the that's the vibe that I was going for with that. It's very fun.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, my cat woke up.
Oh, there's a cat.
Time.
Do you have any final words before we do sign off?
Yes, make art. Make art. Every one of you who's listening, go make a little bit of art today. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It could be a doodle. It could be a candy bracelet. It could be make a little song, something. Make art. Make some art today. You deserve it. You deserve to have a creative outlet and a way to express yourself that captures feelings that move beyond words. Make art today.
Absolutely. Those are wonderful words to live by. And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists.
Yep. Please. We need to eat too.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Like I said in the intro, Artie is someone that I was quickly enamored with their art, and to know that there is a cool person behind that art is just icing on the cake. Artie, if you've gotten up to this point, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It was an absolute pleasure to chat with you in the first place. You know, the more I do this podcast, the more I realize how much closer I am to art than I realize. Like, don't get me wrong, I knew that art was all around me in one form or fashion, but I didn't know it was tangibly around me like the way that I've realized as of late. Like, the fact that I've been able to meet a lot of guests that are relatively close to me, with the example, I'm keeping that in. With the example of RD being based around Atlanta, and I know I could just take a couple hour drive and be over there. Like, it's really cool. I grew up in a place to where I didn't realize how close art was to me. Like I've said several times before, I grew up in a place to where it was more about the agriculture than it was the art. Which there's nothing wrong with that. We need agriculture, especially in today's society. But art was never really the priority where I was growing up. And to know that there is that cool, incredible art that's not that far away from me, relatively speaking, it makes it so much cooler. It makes it so much more awe-inspiring more than anything else. The fact that, again, I could take a couple-hour drive and I could be around a good couple of buddies I've been able to chat with on this podcast. The fact that I'm a good, couple hours drive away from being able to see some of my friends' artwork. Being able to see other incredible artists and what they're able to accomplish. soak in a lot of the art and the culture that I may have thought was completely out of reach at a certain point in my life. That's one of the beautiful things I love about this podcast is I never realize how much it opens my eyes to how close I am to art. Especially in today's world where it seems like art is harder and harder to find. And good people in the art world are even harder to find. It's really nice and humbling, I guess is the word, to know that all I need to do is to continue to reach out like I have been. Continue getting in contact with incredible people and letting them know that, hey, your art is incredible. Keep doing the wonderful work that you do. And I know, especially with RD, it's not going to be the last time I chat with him. Not by a country mile. I hope you take the opportunity to use this podcast as potentially a guide for some of the... If there's a guest or if there's artists that you realize, oh, wait, they're in XYZ. They're in this neighborhood. I'm not saying you need to go see them in person. Don't be a stalker. Don't be creepy. But if they have something going on and they're doing something with the community, go out and be a part of that. Invest yourself more in this community and let it grow. Let that positivity grow more than anything else. You'd be amazed the power that art could potentially have, especially if you invest more in the community of it and you help not just yourself, but others within it grow.